I just got out of Iron Lung and I really want to talk about it. Now, for those of you who don't know, Iron Lung is a movie produced, directed, starred in by Mark Fishback, Markiplier, YouTube personality, and the game produced by David Zemansky, which gives it its background, its universe, the whole nine yards. Now, spoilers abound because this is that kind of movie. It answers very few questions, it asks a whole pile of them, and yet somehow I cannot talk about it without everything being a spoiler, so here's your spoiler warning, and now we're off. The movie takes place in a universe ravaged by what we call the Quiet Rapture. Now, this is a post apocalypse event. And during the Quiet Rapture, all we really know is that every planet blinked out of existence in a single moment. All the stars ceased to exist, and their gravity wells disappeared along with them. So every moon that was anchored to a sun or a planet is flung off into the darkness of space. And all that's left is the ghost light of those stars traveling through the universe, their source gone, and a handful of humanity that happened to be in space stations at the time. Because anyone who was on a planet, anyone who was looking at a planet, is gone. No one knows what happened because there's nobody left who saw what happened. And we were right there with them the whole time, throughout the whole runtime of the movie. The movie opens with us, the viewer, us, the observer, being welded into a submarine along with Markiplier right from the start as the only set that the film takes place in. And this might require me to go back a little bit. I went into it expecting YouTuber personality. I went into it expecting YouTuber energy. I expected the streaming style of who Markiplier has shown himself to be on YouTube and on various other platforms. And that was not at all what I got. It is a slow, creeping, psychological, cosmic terror thriller film. Less thriller than terror, but it is a very different movie than you might be expecting, and I suspect that's why the critics have kind of poo-pooed it. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. It reminded me a lot of movies like Event Horizon or The Thing, less so the creature feature aspect of it. The Void is another good example, but more so like the constant ratcheting build of tension throughout the film. There are so many points in the movie where tension is building and building and building and building and building to a point where you think you're about to lose your mind and then it pulls back. But it never pulls back as far as it was. It might go up 3 levels of tension and pull back 1 or 2. And you feel this great relief, even though things are so much worse than they were 5 minutes ago, but they're so much better than they were 5 seconds ago. And it expertly builds the tension over the course of the runtime until by the end, things have gone completely off the rails. But we're fine with it somehow. We're right there with him the whole time. So, as you might expect, this is the sort of movie where there are a pile of questions, there is no real answers, and we are in this submarine being lowered into an ocean on a moon. Why are we there? Because that handful of humanity has found on this errant moon, flung like an orphan into the darkness, a literal ocean of human blood covering the entire surface. And they want to know why it's there, what might be hiding in it, and there is a question. He asks, is he the first to go down? What is it they are looking for? And we are right there along with him as he tries to find out why he's there, what is he looking for, and can he earn his way back out again? There's things I won't get into because there needs to be some mystery here. I will tell you right now, it will ask a lot of questions. More questions will be raised. None of them will be answered, and you will still leave satisfied. Are there things that I wish had been filmed differently? Yes. Most of my complaints come back to a matter of the way things were done rather than story beats. Like, for example, I really don't like how dark the movie was, and I mean that in terms of like actual brightness of the film on the screen. You know, in a video game, when you have the darkness slider set that it tells you, well, turn it all the way this way until you can just barely make out the pattern, and that's how dark you want it to be. I never do that. I always crank it all the way up. It felt like it was cranked all the way to where it's supposed to be. There was many points, and this might be a stylistic choice, where I wish that I could just reach out and turn a knob and crank the brightness up so I could see what was going on a little bit better. But I do suspect that it was done that way on purpose, so that we were feeling how claustrophobic it was right there along with Mark as he was fighting with that darkness as well. The darkness is almost a character in the film. It plays a significant role as he fights to try to hold on to a sliver of light in that dark place where he is welded into a submarine at the bottom of a blood ocean, lost and alone. The movie introduces a handful of background characters. It introduces a handful of flashbacks that don't amount to much. Much like the concept of the entire universe itself, we are dumped into this pre-existing state of things with a pre-existing character who has an established backstory that we don't get to know. And it leaves you somehow wishing you knew them better, but at the same time knowing that if you tried to know them better, it would be unsatisfying. We are sitting in a world right now where we are watching reboots and remakes and prequels and sequels nobody asked for that are answering questions that nobody really wanted answered. I don't care to know the Joker's origin story. I don't care to know what was Rafiki up to before he became advisor to Mufasa. I don't care. Those questions are not only are they unimportant, they subtract from the mystery of the character. We can speculate, we can think, we can consider, and that's important. Iron Lung is a movie that gets you asking questions and then doesn't often answer them. It leaves you with more questions than it started with, but it satisfies you anyway. Or maybe that's just me, but I don't think so because lots of people seem to agree. Surprisingly, considering this movie takes place at the bottom of a blood ocean, a literal ocean of blood, it's not an overly gory film. Blood does make an appearance, and there is some aspect of body horror, but not in the way we've been accustomed to by slasher films. For those of you who've seen the movie, and you will understand what I'm talking about when I mention this, there is a point in the film at which Mark suffers a pretty grievous injury that in any other movie, he would be spraying blood and everywhere. It'd be a sight to behold. And although he is surrounded by blood, none of it, very little of it is his. And it's that lack of his own blood. It's that lack of it's that lack of a reaction to the injury that really lends weight to how serious things have gotten. Things have gone completely off the rails, and we are past the point of no return. We are off the edge of the map, and here there are monsters. End of the day, this is a really good movie. Like, not the sort of thing I would go and watch again right away. It does not lend itself well, I feel, to repeated viewings back to back. I will be watching it again down the line, but not right away. Obviously, you're coming down to the end of this and you're wanting to know, was it good? Should you go and see it? Let me put it this way. Every time I go to the movies, I get a large popcorn layered with butter and a large drink. And I go through both by about the halfway point of any movie, literally any movie I go to. This is the first time I went to the theater, watched a movie, I got halfway through the drink and only ate a third of the popcorn. It captured my attention and it enraptured me. I would give this a solid 7.5, maybe 8 stars out of 10. I really enjoyed myself. I would recommend it to anybody. So long as you're not someone who's into like the fast paced TikTok reel style of entertainment that we primarily get a lot of these days. And if you're okay speculating and considering and coming up with your own conclusions for things, because like I said, you're not going to get satisfactory answers, but you are going to be asking satisfactory questions. And if that interests you, then I think this movie will interest you too.